Hello and welcome to Africa and Beyond Television Network, and we'll continue to take a look on what's happening in the nation without fear, without favor. The High Court, presided over by Justice Regis Dembure, ruled against the eviction of indigenous farmers, who include war veterans from Springs Farm in Goromonzi. And these people were rejecting attempts to remove them from their farmland by Billy Rautenberg. And this is a very, very interesting story. We need to take a look onto this one. This is a defeat of Emerson and his Ziganandas. Let us take a look.
The minister in the High Court on the basis that he had not followed the law and he had not applied his mind to it. The minister was brought to court, but he didn't decide to depose an affidavit himself. This was then done by the permanent secretary, who spoke or purported to speak on behalf of the minister. And so we took that point right at the outset that the minister had not opposed because the opposition was not valid, and there were arguments on that. God accepted that. That's what happened. So the offer letters were set aside.
So this is very, very interesting. And when we take a look onto this one, we are seeing that everywhere, if you move across Zimbabwe, around Zimbabwe, there is an attempt by these powerful people to take over various pieces of land from indigenous people who are vulnerable, weak, and poor. And it's not only happening in Goromonzi, it's also happening in areas like Mwenezi, areas like Chiredzi, Chivi. It's happening where people are being displaced by the people who want to benefit from the land tenure system led by Kudakwashe Atagwirei. So what it means in this case, the High Court gave a relief to these farmers. And very important aspect of this court case is that the Billy Rautenberg failed to produce valid title deeds. And that is something which is very important. So the courts then upheld the farmers' ownership. That is the claim which they were making. And this is a very long-standing investment which they had done on the land. They've been farming for a very long time right there, only for somebody to come and say, we are now taking over. So you look at Billy, you look at all other these people, they are running around displacing villagers and taking over land from people. So the representation by Professor Maduku is very important because he has won several cases which he has dealt with in Chigandanda. And this farming community, as they were represented by Professor Lafmo Maduku, who is a respected constitutional lands right expert. His involvement was noted, especially in legal defense for displaced farmers. So we have also seen him trying to defend some other people who were affected, I think, around the Chipinge area in the past. So this farm was allocated illegally or fraudulently to Billy Rautenberg. And when this ruling came, the farm had already been transferred to Billy using some bogus title deeds without a clear trace where they came from. So critics, they argue that the reallocation undermines the farmers' property rights and also it reflects poor governance. The same is also happening in areas like Mwenezi. So what does this court order mean? For the indigenous farmers, they've been legally protected from eviction so far. And the implications are that they can remain on the farm pending any appeal. And what are the ramifications to Billy Rautenberg? He holds the title deeds and allocation. This is what the status is right now. The farmers, they have been legally protected from eviction by the High Court. Unless an appeal is lodged and is won, they remain on the farm. But Billy, he holds the title for this place and it has been allocated to him. So that is something which is very important. He has a paper title, but the court's decision it challenges the enforcement. What it means is you will need to have an eviction order for him to be able to evict those farmers. And then when you look at the government is supporting Billy Rautenberg, and that then will prompt the continuous attempt to evict the farmers. At the end of the day, ZANU-PF being ZANU-PF, you're likely going to see these farmers being evicted, even illegally, without using due procedure. Unogona ngoona vachingorohwa ikokoko vachivhiringidzwa vobva vapwanyirwa, and then he takes over. So Professor Maduku, a well fight fought right there in the High Court. He won on behalf of the farmers, and there is need for Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission to then investigate how Billy Rautenberg got the title deeds, which are now in his hands. So what needs to happen is that there is need for the people to monitor the appeals, because Billy and the government, they're likely going to challenge this judgment in the Supreme Court, which means there is need for a proper monitoring process of this process. And also there is need to watch for enforcement actions, because it's very important to check whether the eviction has been halted or if the authorities will override the court decision. So they will need to check with the sheriff of the High Court to understand what is really happening. And also there is need for the people of Zimbabwe to stay informed on land policy. And this case, it then highlights broader issues in Zimbabwe land reform and whatever which is happening right there. So when you look at this one, we can refer to the issues which are happening in Mwenezi, where the Tokwemkosi victims are being illegally evicted from their land. They were removed from Tokwemkosi to pave way for the construction of the dam. And then they were relocated to Nywanetse Range in Mwenezi. Then the area was owned by Triangle. Triangle was using that area and had its cattle right there. But right now, it's sickening to see that there are people who are coming, claiming that they own the pieces of land. These are just few individuals politically connected, and probably they are running after the land tenure policy, which is being spearheaded by Kudata Gwirei, so that they become beneficiaries and they get title, like what happened to Billy Rautenberg. That is the same thing which is happening right there. So these people, they are being manipulated, they are being intimidated, so that they leave their own place and land, and the land is taken over. Never kachenjera, never kangwara. What pains me the most is that there is no talk of compensation, there is no assessment which is being done on properties, and there is no verifiable legal process happening right there. So that is the biggest problem which we have. And those people, they are poor and they don't have anybody to successfully represent them in court. So this is what is happening. ZVIGANANDA, they've been temporarily defeated in Goromons right there. The High Court judge, Justice Dembure, ruled that Billy cannot evict the people who are at Springs Farm. And this is what we have for you. We will continue to watch at what is happening in the nation of Zimbabwe, and we will continue to update the nation accordingly.